Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to Pisces Rising Press and Den22. Nice to see you. This is my weekly 2-hour accountability live stream for working on comics and other stuff. I work on comics every day, but I mean, I'm trying to do this live stream. This is my Kubert School Homework for Wednesday. So how many days I got? I got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I'm way ahead of the game. And all I got to do, I think, on this is speech bubbles. I'll just go over it with you. What I don't know if you can see it. But so the class is sequential art. You can take it. It's pretty inexpensive, considering what it is. And it's like an online class. You take it through Google Classroom with a real teacher and everything. And this is usually how I've actually taken a version of this course multiple times. And what they do is you get a script. They give you a script and they say, okay, draw X amount of pages. And then you turn them in and then they're going to critique them. And basically they're going to write all over them. Hey, Pisces Rising. They're going to write all over them and tell me what I did wrong, and then I'll know better next time. And I'm kind of ahead of the game. My pages have improved a lot just from knowing that. It's like one of those things you can't really learn on your own unless somebody's showing you, especially somebody who's actually been doing comics. In this case, the teacher is Gavin Smith, who does Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Star Trek. I think he does some I'm not sure if he does Star Trek interiors, but he does covers. But he does Star Trek, and I think he's also done Godzilla as well, or he's doing Godzilla. But all I got left at this point is my speech bubbles. I'm a little conflicted about some of my lines here. They're going to get covered up by speech bubbles, probably. Let me just move this over a little bit. Where's them? I know I got some music here somewhere. I'll turn it off like this. All right. So my idea here, this is kind of like Fight Club. Like, so Moon Knight he's got split personalities. He's got it used to be 3 personalities. So there's Moon Knight, Mark Spector, there's this guy, I can't remember his name, but there's kind of like the rich guy. So it's kind of like, and then there's Jake, the cab driver. So there's a mercenary, a rich guy, and a cab driver, and they're all facets of his personality. And then later on, they added Khonshu, who's like this Egyptian god avatar. And Khonshu appears on page 3, and I've got him. The way they normally draw him is this sort of disembodied bird skull looking thing. So how many layers do you usually have on a page? Not counting the text, it's not that many. So in this case, usually does not include this layer 1 because this layer 1 is the template I had to use for the Kubert class. So I have one layer for pencils. If I take it out, it's almost all gone. So not counting text and the template, it's one for pencils, one for inks, one for speech bubbles, and one for panels. And then there's usually one or two utility layers that are like, for example, you see in this one how I had to put black over gray. So I couldn't put black over black, right? So that ended up being its own layer over here. But when I do this, the final version, there will be no gray. I'm only doing black and white. I have in addition to the rusty nib, which you know about too, Pisces Rising, I have the beat tones shaders and liners. So that could be another layer too. So in a sense, I could do gray if I did the liners. And I could do like a gray layer or something like that. I don't do color comics. It's personal decision, personal choice there. But I try to keep my layers minimal and tight. Not that I have the memory to run a fair amount of layers, I think. Now, if you look over here, I've got pencils, panels, ink. I have a white layer. And the white layer is because Moon Knight's costume is white. So I had to figure out, okay, how am I going to draw this white costume over this thing? And so the answer was just make it its own layer. So that's kind of a special one-off. This layer, that's had to do with the white layer. So once I had the white layer, I needed another black layer on top of it. I also had another layer for this sound effect that I drew. So that could be incorporated into the art. In this case, it's not. But it's pretty manageable. This is the whole page right here, and it's under 20 layers, I think, counting the speech. And I make a single bubbles layer right here. Let's see if I can show it to you. There's my bubbles layer, and I hand draw my speech bubbles. And I'll just go on one layer underneath all the text. If you're curious, Pisces Rising, here's an offer right here. I'm going to give you an invite to the Gilded Adventures in Making Comics server, where a lot of us comic makers hang out. Hang on. Copy. I'm going to paste this in chat. You are welcome to come in. Just say, hey, I got this from Empyrean Vol. Everybody will say hi, I hope. And welcome you in. That should let you in, though. Also, let me see. Yeah, that's right. That's correct. I could even... There it is right there. I could post it on the screen there. Anyway. Now, we used to be a lot more active in sharing techniques, and there was a lot more activity going on. I don't know what's going on lately. What is going on here? Did my thing become unbound? Oh, I know what happened. I see it right there. So what happened was I made my lines 100% unopaque, transparent. Okay, so this is my trick for doing speech bubbles. Is if you look at a comic, look at any comic. I'm going to pull out this random. This is Jonah Hex. I just happen to have it out here. If you look at the speech bubbles, you'll notice they're always flush up against the panel border, almost always. Right here, they'll use a piece or sometimes two pieces of the panel border against it. So it's never just a circle, or not. It's rarely just a circle. If you can zoom in there. It's rarely just a circle. It's usually there's like a line that's up here against the top or the side. So I do the same thing, and it makes it look pretty reliable. So for example, in this case, I'm taking a line and... Come on, what's going on, man? Well, let me just make sure that my pencil's working. Oh, that's my problem, is I got minimal. All right, here we go. What in the... Oh, okay. I've got my. See, this is. I apologize for everything. Hang on, let me do this. Rusty Nib 1. Okay, we take a line. We hide the line in the panel border, right? So it's hidden. It's hidden. And then we're going to hide a line here. And then we're going to hide one here. And all that looks pretty good. Okay, so then all you got to do is draw your bubble and make sure your tail is pointing correctly. And then drop your white in there, and then erase anything that popped up over the ended up over the line. And that usually makes a very reliable looking thing over there. Okay, good question. Dintu2 asked, what do you need to do 2 characters tone of voice? So you can change the border for one. That's one way to do it. This is sort of the Batman creepy voice, right? So you see he's speaking in a normal voice, speaking in a creepy voice. But usually you would just do it through dialogue. Like if we were to look like here's an example right here. I don't know if you can see this. The bandito is whispering, so you use dotted lines, and then let's see. Yeah, I have him right in my sights. Also, this is out of style now to use thought bubbles, but don't skip out on thought bubbles. That's a great way to show the state of mind of a character. And it's a little embarrassing that they stopped using them because it's a cool technique. All right, so let's do this one. All right, so this particular bubble over here is not a bubble, it's a narration box. So that works a little differently. The narration box takes place outside the context. Like this is all flashbacks. This is a flashback scene with a voiceover. That's what they use now, kind of instead of thought bubbles. But when you're using a narration box, first of all, if it's narrating something in the past, you can actually take it and pop it a little bit outside of the panel. So in this case, I'm going to make this one just slightly outside of the panel. And make sure it's in quotes. The reason you make sure it's in quotes so you know who's talking is the same guy who was talking earlier. So there's these narration bubbles are all through this thing. But there's other tricks you can use too, Dintu2. There's like, just use the different kind of language, or establish a speaking cadence for your characters, things like that. Every single comic character, every single comic character used to be, what's going on here? Used to know have its own vernacular. So, for example, Popeye. We know Popeye says things like, what does Popeye say? Give me an example. Women's is fickle, right? That's a pretty good example of a Popeye line. And Pogo, really famous for using the sort of vernacular type speech. If you establish that really well, you're like way ahead of the game. And you know who pointed this out, where I noticed it, was actually Ed Piskor, because he's doing this daily comic strip now. Honestly, it was a little embarrassing. That one, okay, so that's the line here. Hang on, let me fix this. That one also is a voiceover. He's voicing over, hang on, honestly, it was a little embarrassing. He's voicing over the activities that took place in these previous panels where he beat Crossfire with the drone. All right, so let's fix that too. Bubbles. Other thing you got to watch out for is tangents, which I'm going to have a lot of because I got a lot of vertical lines here, unfortunately. Well, if I get dinged, I get dinged. I'll have to take a look at it. All right, this isn't great because it's not centered in there, but we're going to go ahead and fix it. So honestly, where's honestly? There we go. There's basically two ways to do it. One way is to do it that way. Another way is to grab the bubble. Like, let's say we wanted more air in this bubble for the mercenary game one. Select the bubble. Make sure you're on the right layer. And then use warp, and you can kind of stretch it out a little bit. The speech bubbles is one of the things like they really never teach you anywhere. There is a lettering course at Kubert. I signed up for it once, and it got canceled, and then they started running it again, but I haven't signed back up for it. Where am I? I think I'm still in bubbles. Let's go back into ink. So this is a waitress back here somewhere. We're just sort of implying the perspective and stuff. I don't know what's going on up here. Maybe I should erase that. I think I was going to sketch another customer in the diner, and then I just sort of thought better of it. So here's the other weird thing about this is the characters. It's like Fight Club. They're not really there. So, you know, you should put a mug of coffee in front of this guy and a plate, but they're not really there. It's like Fight Club. They're all his multiple personalities. So I'm going to just have the one guy, and I'm going to put like a little spotlight on him. So you see I have this triangle here. And I'm hoping that that'll suffice. If I was better at doing outlines, or if I bothered to do color, I might do like just a color outline, like Invisible Woman or something, you know, where they do the dotted outline for the character to show that she's imaginary. No holding line or something like that. You got a couple of options. And unfortunately, I put these guys in the same suit. And the reason why is this is supposed to be the rich guy, and this is supposed to be the mercenary guy, but he starts walking around as Mr. Knight now, which is the mercenary guy, but wearing the suit. So I don't have any good way to separate them, except that I'm going to give him a black eye, because he just got out of a battle. And, well, it's not the greatest thing in the world. Let's see. Oh, this is all being drawn. So I'm on the right layer. I was worried I was in the wrong layer. Oh, what I did was... All right, I made a boo-boo. I drew in the wrong layer. That's okay. We can fix it. We're going to bring it down here and just fold it in. Now, this is obviously going to go pretty quickly, so I have other stuff I've got to do that I'm going to be doing. I've got some spot illustrations that I got as a commission for Delver magazine that we're going to do. Hang on. Sure, the good old days. See, that's too close to the edge. We want a little bit of room here. All right, let's get into bubbles. pretty sure I hit a line in here already. All right, let's drop the white in there. It's not ready yet, but we're gonna just go ahead and, oh, see, I did it wrong. Where's the hole? There's two holes, one here, one there. Let me try it again. Nope. There's still one over there. Okay, that worked. Here's the other thing you want to do. Even inside your bubble, you still got to emphasize certain things, just as you would act it. Like if you were to say this line, the good old days, except I'm the one still picking shrapnel out of mine. And his tooth falls out, actually, in the next page. So I'm is the word that you would stress here. So select that word. Whoops, just that word. And make that one bold or italic or maybe a little bigger, something. And you can see that, like, as you're mixing the those words in it and emphasizing different things, you get up a better, it's better acting for the characters on the page because they're emphasizing certain words. Italics and bolds are your friends. Let's see. Okay, then there's the other trick. Hang on. I don't have enough air in my bubble, right? So here's the bubble. And there's not enough air down here at the bottom, so I'm going to select it and I'm going to use warp to just kind of cheat it out a little bit. There we go. That looks a little bit nicer. And then there we go. Hey, Paul Pate, how's it going? Thank you very much. I've been looking at your I've been following your comic lately too, or on Instagram. I'm not sure what I'm missing. But I can follow the pages that you put on there. They're in some kind of gladiatorial battle. Definitely follow Paul Pate on Instagram. Or is it Paul Pate Art? Something like that. Let's show a bit of Paul Pate. Hang on. Present. There it is. Okay, I'm going to find Paul Pate. Actually, there it is right there. Paul Pate Comics, that's what it is right there. So let's zoom over there. So with this one, and he's doing it with the panels broken up on the page, so you can slide through it, which is a great way to do it. Let's get out of here. Throw in the jacket on. Where to and just go. I love the shadows here. These are really good. So that's the gray layer. I've stopped using the gray layer myself. I'm trying to. I used to use it a lot. If you look at let's see. Basically all my old stuff, I have the gray layer in there, and I decided like even that's got gray layer, and that's fairly recent. But what I'm trying to do, let's see if I'm still small here. Yeah, Paul Pate Comics. Definitely check that out. Let me stop screen here. So I use the gray layer too, but I've stopped using it because I'm trying to figure out how to get better at rendering in the black, because I know I'm never going to go color. A decision has been made, or at least if I do, it won't be me, it'll be somebody else. But like I used to use it pretty extensively too. Like these are all, and this is when I wasn't as good with the speech bubbles either. That almost looks like, by the way, this effect is not like This is actually an analog effect. It's real easy to do. But it's not like I copied and pasted. I can show you how it's done. It's done with these splattering techniques. And it always looks pretty spacey. But yeah, same kind of deal. I would use the same kind of shadow and white here. This is also, you know, I was looking at this one. This isn't that recent. I mean, this is fairly recent. It's not that long ago. And I wasn't even doing the emphasizing parts of the text yet. So I feel like sometimes you look back at your stuff and you go, oh, I've never improved. I'm never going to get better. And then I go back and I look and I'm like, wait, I've improved past that. You know, it's always a struggle. I think that every cartoonist goes to this thing where they think, oh, I'm never going to improve. I'm always going to be like this. But now, you know, it's kind of funny. What we're recently finding out is basically everyone's using these stupid traced assets in SketchUp and stuff. I'm like, okay, well, I don't do that. So maybe I'm ahead of the game. I don't know. I knew something was up years ago when I was reading like JSA. I'll don't make me go on another rant about Steve Sadowski. Steve Sadowski's art just infuriates me now to look at it. It infuriates me. I don't even know if he's doing comic art anymore. This is supposed to be one of those sugar things they leave on your table at the diner. I don't know if that really does that work. Yeah, if you use black and white, it's very difficult. Yeah, to try and so the hatching stuff, it's like it's very difficult. You're correct. It's but I'm not very good at it yet. I recognize that I can do the flood blacks and stuff like that, but trying to get a nice like that's messy. Look at how messy that is. I went too fast. When I pull back, it seems to look okay. It's the top of a building. The real problem is when you get a panel like this where it's well lit, and you've got I put a chunk of dark over here to anchor this character, and it kind of anchors the composition a little bit towards the black, but I need probably something up here. I mean, there should probably be something. I don't even know what this is not a this is supposed to be the edge of the booth, but it's not, doesn't read as well at all. We got this line cutting the waitress off at the knees here. I got a million tangents. Let's do this. Now this is like a homework assignment where no one's ever going to see it except for people in the, well, now you're seeing it now, but no one's ever going to see it because it's part of an established comic that I don't have any particular rights to. It's just been assigned to me. So I'm not really going to sell it or anything like that. I'm just going to post it on the website and get critiqued. So I could, kind of fudge on it and just not worry about it too much. Also have that there's another thing that goes on where you wonder, am I showing off or something? Because not everyone's doing lettering, not everyone's going to full length. Some people stay in pencils for the class. You don't want to do that either. Nobody's going to like you then. All right, hang on. Paul says, I trace stuff and you can totally tell. I don't like it. I feel shame. Well, don't feel too much shame because a lot of people do it. And I think it's a good idea to use reference. Using reference is different than tracing. Every once in a while, early on, if there was something I just couldn't get, like a car or something like that, I did it a couple of times. I didn't feel good about it either. Oh, on the third panel, yeah, the middle character's left arm. Oh, we're looking at this guy. Yeah. Where was I going with this? But I was determined, okay, well, as long as it looks like it all belongs in the same universe. I was really lucky because during the pandemic, I only started in 2019. During the big lockdown, right, I took my first course and I had Tom Mandrake. And the styles of drawing in the class were all across the board. I actually have some comics from that era, I think. They go all the way back. And I wonder if maybe I don't have comics from that era. Maybe I do and maybe I don't. But the point he made is as long as it all looks like it goes in the same universe, then you're probably okay. Like if it all works in the same universe. There's a pretty good handout they gave us. Actually, if you want to see the very best thing I ever learned in the Kubert School, it's actually all on video. It's on YouTube. I'll play it for you. Let's do a reaction video to it. Hang on. Let me turn my music off. Okay, so I want to show you. This is Kubert School, Tom Mandrake. This is the first teacher I had there. And is it this one? Yeah, this is it. Okay, so you can find this easily on. Whoops, where am I? You can find this pretty easily on YouTube. Let me present my screen, share screen. And it's called here. I'll put the link in the chat here. Okay, so this is Tom Mandrake. He's known for Swamp Thing, and like his 3 best lessons are in this one short 32-minute video. And let me see. I'm going to skip to the first one. The first one is how this is the how-to of narrative art, and it kind of breaks down the entire thing. So here it is. I'm going to go ahead and play it.
Give you some things to think about and maybe inspire you to try a few new concepts. And yeah, so with that idea, let me bring up my other screen and let's just dive in and talk about some ideas about storytelling. So one of the things that I like to talk about is the idea that we all have a basic premise when we read a concept. So in a panel description, you may read something like, a man runs from something we can't see. And our first thought may be that we draw that man. Your first idea may be fine. It's a man running from something that the reader can't see. But there are so many ways to visualize that concept. And you take your camera that's in your mind and you want to rotate it around that character. And you can also stretch time out. You could take that first initial idea and you could, for instance, add more time by stretching it out, by adding panels to that concept. So here in option number 2, you can add panels to create time. So each panel represents a little bit more time. And it increases tension by adding more panels and squeezing that character. We've added time and tension to that idea. Or with the same addition of 3 panels, we're stretching out time in a completely different way. So here he is. It's less personal. Here he is. In this one, we're right up on top of him. We can see who this character is. But what if we just see him running from left to right? This is taking a different kind of time.
So basically what he's saying is there's so many different ways that you could interpret these things. And so you have to like truly like read and understand where the script is going to figure out how you want to do this. And the two examples he's shown so far, and there's more. And by the way, when he does the class for real, at the end of this exercise, at the end of this lecture bit that he does, he gives you a piece of paper, or well, we're virtual at this time, and he says, "Okay, I'm going to come up with 3 more, right?" And so, in the first one, if I back it up a little bit, in the first one, we just have the character running. In this one, we did a stretched time where we have the close up, the mid shot, and then he's going away. And then emphasizing the time that he's running, is this one. Let me back it up just a little bit, where you can see the progress of running here, here, and here. This is almost like an Eisner style, I'm running and I'm running and I'm running. It's kind of showing progress here. I ran for a long time. Or when he gets to this one, you can actually see the expression on the character. We got some fear going on, right? So let's keep going with Tom.
We have 3 different examples of how we can change the feeling of our initial thought about a man running. But what if we just change the framing? So here we've changed the framing, so now we only see a partial of this character. But by removing part of his body, it almost feels like now whatever's chasing him has almost caught him, because we can't see his back leg. Additionally, we could throw a shadow over this character, and then we would know that thing that was whatever was chasing him was right behind him. But what if we showed almost nothing? Once again, we've got a man running, but if we show just his feet, we have no idea what's happening in this panel now. Again, increasing the tension.
So Tom Mandrake's known as a horror comic writer. I mean, Swamp Thing is his main thing, but lots and lots of horror comics, as well as Kronos and Grimjack, actually, strangely enough. And then this is the really scary one right here, where we're emphasizing the emotion of running. You see the long shadow and the terrified expression.
Or what if we played with the shapes of the panels, shaking up reality with unusually shaped panels, and use shadows to build tension? So now we take that square and we turn it into 3 abstract shapes. We see him running towards us. We see the figure small with a huge shadow, and then we zoom in on him. So already here we have 6 very different ideas starting from this first initial concept. But we've got more.
So yeah, he keeps going in, and by the way, it's a whole other page of this, and then you get a couple of blank panels that he has you do some to come up with your own. It's really cool. Anyway, all right, I'll go back to what I was doing. Sorry about that. Let's see. Stop screen. Yeah, there's so many different ways to interpret it, and a lot of times we don't think too far out of the box, or we think in terms of camera angles, which is the wrong. It's too simple to think of it. It's not just a camera angle. We got to think of the storytelling and the emotion that is trying to be portrayed here. And you can figure this out. So, for example, in this one, it just says he's exact. What does it say in the? Let me find the script over here. It says something pretty simple about what the character is going through, but by putting this sort of dramatic shadow back here, and then I implied that he's got him in the lights of his drone here, and he's got the gun trained on him. Although maybe I should emphasize the gun more. This drone has a gun. So what if I did this? It's not anything. My problem right here is it doesn't stand out enough. Oh, and the other problem is I am not on top of anything. I think my white layer is covering it, so I should probably figure out how to emphasize that more. Where am I getting it in the bubbles layer? I'm losing it. Okay, boom. Just make that just a bit more clear. The panel itself is not that big, so I may not have gotten it just exactly right or very good at all. But you keep trying, and that's what you're really paying for, is getting critiques. You're paying to get roasted in the class, and they're usually pretty nice about it. Which actually I kind of wish they would go a little bit harder, at least on me, because that's where I seem to have gotten my most progress, is when I get roasted. All right, let's see. It's not the worst thing in the world. All right, we're gonna make these like this diner seat cover. All right. We're gonna throw some shadows. Maybe it's like a late night diner. And then this further emphasizes our light coming down. Did you two ask, do you have a favorite children's show? Well, I did at one point, I'm sure. I love the Power Rangers. But I really like the if you've actually seen you would think I would answer that. Does the Power Rangers count? Is that a show that counts? So it's if you go on Tubi and you look up I think it's called Die Ranger, DAI. I think that is one of the very first Power Ranger shows, and it's in Japanese, but it's great. I think it's done. I'm looking at this. I think we've had. I think we've had enough. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're flexing a little bit by posting our homework on what is it, Saturday night? Power Rangers are for all ages, in my opinions. Yes, I agree. So maybe that doesn't count as a children's show. So maybe it was such a good answer that it's a bad answer. Let's see. I love anything with puppets, though. I like all things like that. I like all that stuff. Share JPEG. And we're just going to save image. And then we're going to go over here. This is how you, this is what the classroom looks like, by the way. Oh, there's my jukebox reference. Classroom, here it is right here, home. So it's classroom.google and then drawing sequential pages. This is the actual Kubert School Classroom. There's my Moon Knight page 2. I'm going to add or create a file, browse my photo library, and there it is. Add. All right, and then turn in. And the benefit of turning it in early, by the way, is he will actually email you or post underneath and say things like, can you email me this? I want to give you a couple of notes to help elevate it. So you get it. The earlier you get it in, this is mine over here. The earlier you get it in, the more time you have to revise it, because he's going to give you notes during the week as well. So we're going to go ahead and upload another copy. Add. Here's my page 6. Here's my page 6. And then where's the exclamation point? Post. And there it is. Now we hope it looks good, and they can zoom in if they want to. All right, all looks good. All right, we've done it. Success. Good job. Thank you, Did2. Ah, yes. All right, now, slight. Is it really? It's not really a problem. I have this other thing that I have to do, and that's. Let me show you what it is. So I think the old ones are in this one, or are they? These are OR scrubs. Oh, are they? Okay, it's one of these. So you can see right here. Let me show you what this is. These are horizontal little images. They're all pretty random. That could go at the bottom of some pages in this little zine magazine thing. So all I need to brainstorm first, because I don't know what to draw. That's usually the big problem for me is, well, what do I draw? So we're going to do an 11 by 16 page right here. And this is a draft layer. Let's see how many we can do on this page. It looks like I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, screwed up. Uniform. I'm just evening it out so that they have a roughly the same amount of space. So 6 images that we got to put on here. But let's brainstorm first. So let's make another layer, and we'll just use this for our brainstorm. What are some things that we could draw that will be like fantasy art? And I'll grab some fantasy comics or books or something that we could look through. How about the obvious ones I think I've done, which are like a dragon. Let's should I do this in text? Or I could just write it. It'd be great if I had an actual copy of. Let's look at this one. Maybe this has some ideas for me. All right, this is Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. We're gonna use this for inspiration. Whoa! My camera rig fell over. How did that happen? Oh, it's because it's stuck. All right. So this is a remake of an old school D&D module. Like it's stuff like this. So I like this one here. This is a bunch of characters fighting a giant plant. That's cool. And there's a skeleton, and then there's a guy grabbing a bird. There's a brain devourer that's sneaking up on some adventures. I like all these ideas. So let's use that to inspire us. Okay, how about this? A displacer beast. A character wandering through a mushroom forest. Stepping over a moss-covered skeleton. These are all different ideas. They're not the same idea. Moss-covered skeleton. What are 3 more that we could do? Din22, any ideas? Let's look for some more inspiration in my book here. How about Battling orcs. Battling some orcs. That's a good one. I definitely want to do a displacer beast. I'm avoiding doing dragons because I've done so many dragons already. How about a giant? Facing down some adventurers. A character finding, I like that one. A character finding a strange or. Okay. Now the thing is, they're all meant to look like. Whoops! They're all meant to look like line art. So this isn't something we have to go like full render on. Although we're going to do as good of a render as we can. All right. So let's start with the displacer beast. Anyways, I'm going to make this. We're going to drop this whole layer down to like not as opaque. We're going to call this the pencil layer. This one's going to be called pencils. Pencils. We're going to drop that opacity down. And then we're going to go look for a reference. So let me go find a reference in another tab, and I'll show you what I come up with. Now, the other thing about the reference is we can't copy it exactly because, you know, then they could just use the reference. So displacer beast, co-Earl. The origins of this. What is a displacer beast? You may be wondering. Let me show you. I'm going to present my screen. So a displacer beast is like a panther with 6 legs with tentacles. And it comes from this old 1930s pulp story called The Black Destroyer. And it was actually made into a Marvel comic at one point, but it's in D&D. Oh, they have a version of it in Magic the Gathering even. So I like a lot of these pictures. But we're going to have to do our own. Oh, I like this one right here. They did a couple of different versions of it. So it seems to me the best way to get a good version of a displacer beast, rather than copying one of these, is to grab a Black Panther stalking. And we're going to, there we go. That one looks cool. This one looks pretty cool. How about something like this? All right, hang on. So we're going to grab this. We're going to visit it. Oh, what happened? Well, they're all panthers, so they're all good. How about this guy? This guy looks good too. So we're going to grab this guy, and this is going to be our hang about right there. It's going to be our reference. And actually, I'm going to take him and put him over here. If you can still see him. All right. Now, immediate problem is I don't think I have enough room on my page here, but maybe I do. We'll see. So this is a pencil. This is a pencil layer. Let's grab there we go. He's got kind of this paw coming up. And then he's got a head. Come on now. The tough part is going to be this whole creature is going to be black, right? That's one of the thing about it. It's like a black or a dark purple in color. And we don't have to copy it exactly. You know, we're kind of want to give the feel of it and have it feel authentic. So I'll do the mouth open with the fangs. And also it's 6 legs. So he's a bit longer, right? All right. Oh, problem. The panther legs are off. All right, here we go. I got other options. Hold on. That's about as long as a panther tail is. A panther tail. All right, here's my plan B. Hang on 1 second. All right, I'm back. See, I understood the assignment. I've got a little. There we go. Right. Look, he's looking pretty good, actually. I think I got his front paw. Okay, I was really worried about this back leg right here. So let's take a look at what we can do there. Now, where do we fit the other two? Where do we fit the other two legs? I think we can fit one over here. Let's make it, they're not legs, they're arms, right? That's what we'll say. All right, we're going to push this whole critter back a little bit because we want to make room for the tentacles. Okay. That's a good start. Actually, let me drop this image back out. I'm going to turn my iPad a little bit so we have more room. What reference figures do you have? I have a bunch of animals. I've got a deer. I've got a panther. I got a tiger. What else have I got over there? Got a couple. I got a dragon. I got some dinosaurs. They're also just fun to have because they're toys. Let's see. When I took a class from Sergio Cariello, he was really intent on showing off his horse figures. I got a lot of horses too. The horses are really tough to draw. All right, let's see. The horse legs are what get you. So I'm going to go here and we're going to call this ink, but it might not end up being the final ink stream. So let's go ahead and do it. We're going to do I think we got to remember that this thing is going to be rendered in black ink at some point, so we got to make sure that it stays pretty clean. Otherwise, it's all the details just going to turn to mush. No, I don't like that. Okay, that's but a lot of dinosaurs, horses. I sent my sister a griffin and a lion for Christmas this year. I'm looking at his face here. They always have these kind of little things on their heads. Do you have cats, Tintu, too? You have a cat. You strike me as a cat person. Let's see.
Going to start fire.
All right, let's drop the pencils out and just take a look.
Should I start a fire?
Sure. Don't have cats. I do like them, though. I'm sorry I haven't been on Minecraft lately. I've been getting into like recently I'm trying to figure out how to do not even how to do my own, but just how to like work with mods for Minecraft. So I've got CurseForge installed and I'm kind of messing around with shaders now and just trying to figure out like how all that world works. I think that's, how do we make this cat look more eviler? It's got like a big shoulder. Look at this big shoulder muscle that it's got, like this huge. And one of the things that you see is the other shoulder blade like rising up behind it, depending on the angle. I'm looking at this, like this lump right here. Let's bring back my pencils. All right, here we go. This is what we got so far. How long did that take us? Wait. No, come back. All right, here we go. How long did that take us? Not very long. Not very long. I'm looking at the figure to give us an idea of how it's going to look. Now, if you do it this way, this is the advantage that you have over tracing. Even if it's completely like almost exactly the same pose or something, it'll still be completely in your own art style. Like you can't escape your art style. And in fact, like a lot of the discussion on when we first started doing comics together as a group over on where the Gilded is, people would talk about, I wish that was part of my style, or I'm going to add this into my style. I'm going to incorporate this into my style. And I happened to catch this video of somebody going over a Todd McFarlane book that he did. It included like art that he did like when he was in like high school or junior high, and it wasn't that good, right? It was like his amateur. I think it's called juvenilia, the stuff that you do when you're a kid, right? And here's the thing. It was 100% recognizable as Todd McFarlane, even the bad ones. So it's like he already had his style established at that age. And I believe that's true of almost everybody. Another influential video was the cartoonist kayfabe one where it was like your first 1,000 crappy pages. It's a famous quote. And Ed goes over one of his old comics notebooks that he did when he was like elementary school age, and he's drawing the Power Rangers and he's drawing the X-Men from the cartoon in it. And it looks like anything a little kid would draw, except, you know what? I think his style was already kind of showing through. And especially if you look at, you might not know it, but if you, just by looking at it, but if you look at like what he's doing now with the Switchblade Shorties, the characters have that same, there's a vibe that's there, that was already there when he was pretty young. So in a sense, I feel like you can't escape your style. Your style is already there. Now you can develop more, and you can become more and more proficient. In a sense, you're going to bury some of your natural style the better you get. Like if somebody were to learn how to draw photorealistic portraits, I would assume that their style at that point really does go away. But that's not what I'm doing. All right. I'm trying to draw his tail. So this is a good horizontal piece because it'll go from one end of the page to the other and show a lot of like flow. Like, because it's got a shoot, kind of a look, a swoosh, like the Nike swoosh. One thing I'm also doing is, you notice how this line is thicker and that line is thinner, because this line on the bottom is the shadow line. That's the one that's closer to the floor or further away from the light, assuming the light's coming from the top. Now, I might revise that somewhat. I might have gone too far with that shadow. All right. Too long? I think that's pretty good. I think that's a good start. Now here's the other thing about Displacer Beasts is they have like these little spiky teeth that are on the tentacles. or these bony. That's looking pretty good. All right. And now I'm thinking, do I need to make this black, right? It's the Displacer Beast is supposed to be black, but I'm looking at it and I'm going, maybe if I just hatch it, that'll be enough, right? Shoop, flow, yes, some swoop. Exactly, Din22. Din22, I'd be excited if you did your comics, man. Protractor Hand Man. All right, hang on. Because it isn't about drawing. It's about the ability to tell a story. Especially if it's something that can make us laugh. I think that's really cool. That's like a really cool ability that not everybody has. And I think you do have that. So that would be awesome. I'm trying to show how muscular the creature is. Because if you look at the muscles on this guy, he's got so much definition. He's all black. But he's just rippling with muscles. Okay, now this is hatching. Whoops. And our hatching is supposed to, whoops, this is not great right here. This is kind of lame. All right. The hatching is supposed to reach towards the light. So the pointy end of my feathers or my whips are going towards where I think the light is. But I haven't been tremendously consistent with it, so. That's pretty good. Now it's like, look at the, this is the size of the book. So this is the size it will be. Like I'm matching the size here. That'll be the real life size. So if I zoom in, that's as far as you can see it. So it's not too small because you can't really see it from where it is. Hang on. If I move it a little bit closer, that's the actual size. And it looks like you can see every detail. So I feel good about this. We're gonna continue on. Let's put some shadows underneath the tentacle. This is a little messy. This is all feeling pretty good. Lately, I've also been watching, my girlfriend and I have been watching Hermitcraft Season 9. We've been going over it. We're right near the end of it. They're doing the decked out runs now. Does a centaur have 2 rib cages? Yeah, I think I saw a video that was similar to that, right? Because if you think about it, it's got the human rib cage and it's got the horse rib cage. So yes. Or it just has a really long spine. Like, what does the spine on a centaur even look like? If you think about it. Or another way to think about it, when you look at an animal, a four-legged animal like this, you tend to think of it as four legs, right? But it's 2 legs and 2 arms. So a centaur really has 4 arms in a sense. Oh, this is bad right here. Look at my too thick line weight right here. We're going to cut that off, baby. There we go. Yeah, so we've been watching, and I always struggled with watching Hermitcraft because if you try and watch everybody, you won't be able to watch it. You won't be able to get through it, and some of it's quite boring. But if you just watch Grian, it's super watchable. Like it's totally watchable. Grian, everything Grian does has a recognizable storyline to it. Like at one point, he has this weird war with Doc. And it's great. it's really good. All right, there we go. Yeah, snake has a super long rib cage, so I guess they just have just one bendy rib cage, like a snake. Makes perfect sense to me. I'm wondering if I should go full black on the insides of these things. I want to leave them kind of fleshy over here. But I could do this. As long as I don't go too messy. All right, here's the other trick. When you're doing something like this, remember that the tentacle is a tube, so you have to put a slight curve into your hatches. So you can see I'm doing like curving around, and I still think I'm too thick on the line weight on this bottom side, so we might just end up chopping some of that off. We're adding some over here. It shouldn't be thicker in the front than it is in the back, though. That doesn't make sense. Let me zoom it back up. Yeah, Hermitcraft Decked Out is great. Which videos have you seen? Have you tried it out? Did you actually download the world and like try it out? Or did you watch other people play it? I watched other people play it myself. I have not played it myself, but we watched it last night. It's also really inspiring to look at just as a build. It's just really cool. The episode we watched last night was the one where they'd already played it a couple of times, and then they got the idea, like Rian and Scar got the idea that they were going to go and get suspicious stew by capturing a mushroom and hitting it with a lightning bolt and using that to quote unquote cheat at it. And then they did this whole mission where they did it and they brought the mushrooms back into the decked out base and hid them in a secret room. And then at the very end, they find that Tango already had a little station where you could just get as much of the suspicious stew as you wanted to. Sometimes I wonder if it's scripted because it's some of the jokes on there are just too pat. You know, they're just too perfectly done. All right, that's too heavy. We're gonna drop that one over there. All right, here we go. I think he will like this. The guy that is paying for these this artwork. This is about as old school as it gets. Yeah, that's all I've done. I've just watched it. Who did you watch play it? Was it Grian or somebody else? Yeah, that's who I watched too. Looks great. Like, looked really cool. I have started watching a little bit of Docs because Doc is hilarious too. You know, and I actually of the two, you know, who's more interesting to follow on social media is actually Doc. Green is super nice though. I don't know. They're all cool. They're all cool. And I kind of got interested in like empires a little bit just because I like the way that they were able to like reskin their villagers in their builds. I thought that was really cool. All right, so I did this when a cat is snarling, they're wrinkled up on the nose area. Meow. All right. I would say we're almost done with this one. And then we're going to go on to our next one. Fast food recordings, fast food art. That's what I'm all about. Fast food. I have to do some tarot card themed, but it's not really tarot cards. The tarot cards are all done. It's for this tarot card themed game from Mad Rock Games. So there's a couple of scenes they wanted me to illustrate for the role playing booklet. Now, okay, optional. I'm going to put another layer just because it's optional. Should I do a shadow? Does that help it? I'm not sure it does. I think it looks better that way. All right, what's the next picture? Let's bring them all back. A character wandering through a mushroom forest is the next one. So let's bring back our ink layer and our pencil layer. And our thing over here. So Dentutu says, I was less scared of tigers and leopards when I found out they stretch just like cats. Yeah. How could you be afraid of that? All right, hang on just 1 second. A character wandering through a mushroom forest. Well, here's a couple of ideas. One idea is like a low perspective line. Like let's literally use this line as our perspective line. And we'll do two vanishing points. One here and well, let's do it this way. I have this built-in thing on here. We use Canvas, drawing guide, edit drawing guide, perspective, and we're going to do There's our one vanishing point. And the other one, it's going to be so far off, it's going to be off the page. It's going to be way over here. Okay. Looking good. And then we're going to use... It's not... I wish it was more... Okay, can you see the grid there? I don't know if you can even see that. It's like... It gives us a little bit of a grid. All right. So we're still in pencils, right? Pencils right here. Let's say one of the mushrooms is like right here, and it's a giant mushroom forest. So there's a mushroom. And there's all kinds of little mushrooms everywhere too. All right, let's take out this layer. Come on, take this layer out. Maybe I've made him too tall already. He's not right in the middle, is he? No, he's not. Okay. Let's make him short. I heard a click from somewhere. Oh, as a little note from Sideburns. Sideburns is working. I can see it right there. All right. Hey, no problem. Click. I'll just let him know. No problem. Okay. All right. Where was I? One guy's here. He's got his shield. Maybe he's holding up a torch. But the important thing is he's really like he's the size of the mushrooms. And then back here is another character. Maybe it's a dwarf fighter. I don't know if that's a great pose. Let's revise the legs here. I'm just erasing. All right. I think some of them would glow. Yeah, I think there would be glowing mushroom forests. Maybe we could figure out a glow. Now I've only got black and white, if you recall, but this guy's got an axe. This guy's got a torch. And once I get them, I have to go look at some reference for different types of mushrooms. I mean, there's so many different types of mushrooms that you could kind of base this on. Let's have the dwarf looking this way. And he's got he's two hands on his axe. He doesn't need a torch or anything like that. Made him a little bit too big for a dwarf. Let's make him a little bit smaller. Just grab him, shrink him down. There we go. In the movies, when people go exploring in the forest with a torch, I don't get how the forest isn't on fire already. Yeah, that's a good point. I actually saw like a thing. I think it was on like Discovery Channel. It was like they were like looking at like scenes from like Indiana Jones where a character would spark up a torch, and the torch would spark up like 4 feet. He's like, whoosh, and just blast upwards. Like, well, that's probably not what they were using for light, all the time. But it is very cinematic. Oh, it definitely would scorch the wall or whatever it is. He's got a cape on. Maybe he's got a cloak on. All right. So pretty good in concept, but I don't know who the characters are yet. So let's put a little. He's got a hood on. He looks like a little bit terrified. Maybe he's got longer hair or something. I don't know. I'm trying to think of if there's anything we could put that would show the sky a little bit better, but I'm not sure there is. Thinking scientifically in mythology is pretty goofy. Well, it just depends. Yeah, I love mythology. I am crazy for it. Tell you what. Especially Greek mythology. That's kind of my jam. There we go. Hang on. Yeah, here we have 2 adventures. But what's in the foreground? I think this is where we screwed up here. We've got these characters right here. Shouldn't there be something like up in front? Maybe some twisted roots or something. Or vines. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Greek mythology, very cool. Absolutely. Totally agree. So crazy about it. Okay. I've been going through like this sort of motivational deficit with my art lately, but then this class sort of rejuvenated a lot of it um, that I'm in, and I feel pretty motivated in a lot of ways because I want to do good in the class. I want to learn. If you ever feel like you're kind of burnt out on something, sometimes that's a good option. Take a class or something. I was out to dinner with my girlfriend earlier, and she said, "What's happened with the anthologies? It's like we're so bogged down because the cover never got done." And I could take it back. Like I could do it myself. We asked this guy to do it. I want him to do it. He wants to do it, and like taking it away would not be very nice. I don't think so. I don't think I want to do that. Um, but I'm a little worried about the other guy that's in the anthology, Dan Roselle. I want him to be in it to see how cool it is to get your stuff, on a shelf. I'm sure he already knows. Like he knows how cool it is. So I'm kind of stuck in between these two extremes of wanting to do a thing and then not wanting to upset anyone. All right, hang on. I like this root here. This is all still pencils, so there's nothing committed. They have a scrunchy texture and feels weird. They do. I was just reading that you should never eat a raw mushroom. You should only eat cooked mushrooms because, at the end of the day, they're still fungus. I love raw mushrooms. I haven't had one lately or anything like that, but I guess all right. They do feel weird, and they can get slimy real quick, and I guess that's when they're starting to go bad. But maybe we can make like little motes of light that are lighting up the area. They're like little will-o-wisps or something. Scrimchy. I like that word you came up with. Scrimchy. I'm so boring. I come up with polka dot mushrooms. All right. Let's go ahead and take out. Let's go back into the ink layer, and we're going to start inking this. So the things that we need to ink first are the things that are the closest to us. So that would be these roots, these strange roots over here. Actually, let's turn the pencils down a little bit. Turn the volume down. There we go. And there's nothing to it really. Like when we're doing roots, you're just kind of just trying to go with the flow, make it look natural if you can. Pretty simple shape. It's much more concerning to control your line weight than anything else. And you can kind of, put a couple of details so that it looks three-dimensional, like these hatch marks. But that's not, mandatory or anything. And you can see that I've already caused some line weight problems. Let's do another route right over here. Yeah, Millowisps have the cool mystical vibe. It's like they're motes of light. I love that word, the motes of light. I remember this one Dungeons and Dragons adventure where you would go into this tomb and there were these motes of light, and we thought that was so interesting and we wanted to mess with them, but they were just stupid detail. They were just somebody was just trying to describe it. They weren't that meaningful at all. We're going to do something like that too. Okay, anytime when we have a route crossing in front of another route, we can put a shadow. Here we go. What else have I been doing lately? I've been really into Dwarf Fortress. I am still crazy about that game. It's the coolest game ever. Once you figure out how to play it, because it's super frustrating also. But that's part of the fun is how you lose. All right, so we got some roots. Let's take a look at it without the pencil layer. Does that look rooty? Any tips for line weights? Other than, okay, I'll give you the basic tip is if it's closer up, you get a thicker line weight. And if it's farther away, you want to give it a small line weight. But practice, practice, practice. And if you happen to have Procreate and an iPad and Procreate rather, I think you need the iPad first. Get a brush that's really reactive. I think you can do it with certain other apps. I don't know if Critter will do it, but like this is look at how much this is like this is the same. I'm not how much pressure you do really affects the line weight. Oh, it's that Dwarf Fortress I think is as old as 2009. I think it might even be older. I don't know. When I took inking 1022 though, this is the first thing they had us do with real ink. Like actually, like when I say real ink, I mean real ink. On paper with a brush. He just had us do this for a whole page. And I think I still even have the page, but it was there was a bunch of little flexy curves and things that he had us do. But yeah, it has a very old vibe. It was the version I have, like you can get the ASCII version, which has like ASCII. It's really ugly in the ASCII, and I could never figure it out, but I was super obsessed with this game. And then they just put out on Steam, I say just, like last year, the pixel art version of it, and it's totally understandable now. Like it took me a couple of burner games, but I finally figured it out. I don't know. What's your favorite video game? You got some video game favorites, I'm sure. I like Dwarf Fortress. I like Minecraft. I started playing Terraria again a little bit. I suck at Terraria. Oh my god, I'm the worst. What are some other games I have been playing lately? Those are my main ones. I like anything that's kind of Dude says, I don't play much video games. I mainly play Minecraft. Yeah, Minecraft is a special. There's something special about it. It's not just a game. It's almost like you can be creative in it. You can just be artistic in it. You can just immerse in the as a game. What do? You don't have to win. You can just hang out. It's like so cool. And by the way, that's similar in Dwarf Fortress. Like you could just kind of concentrate on, I really just want to build my base up and see what happens, or I want to go and explore the history of this land that I created and find out what else is going on or something like that. There's all these other possibilities. And I love that. Like that's cool. Does that transcend game? Is it more like a toy than a game? Is there a difference between toy and game? What's the difference, Tin22, in your opinion, between a toy and a game? Like Sims 4. I also like Sims 4. Sims 4 to me is not really a game. It's more like a toy. That's meant to be a mushroom as well. It's supposed to be a mushroom. I swear. Okay, here's the other trick. As they get further and further away, I don't know if I mentioned this, thinner and thinner line weight. Anyway, I mean, I've only started doing comics and getting serious about art in 2019, Din22. So, but I have an obsessive personality. So it's like, I was like, when I said I got into it, I really got into it. I was really just like drawing every day and stuff. So I really think that you could do it if you wanted to. All right, let's take a look without the pencils. With enough imagination, any toy can be a game. Right, but let's go the opposite way. Which games can also be toys? That's the real question. Is it the same? I don't know if it's the same. Maybe you think it's the same. I'm prepared to hear any and all arguments that you might have. Or anybody else. All right, there we go. Mushrooms happening. I'm going to erase my, or not erase, but I'm going to take out my drawing guide. I don't think I need it anymore. Let's bring back my mushrooms. Here's kind of a cool trick. If you're not sure how to make things look three-dimensional, you can give it a texture, which is just dots. Just give it a couple of dots. And it'll look like something. Where is it? If I take the pencils out, take this layer out too. It'll render okay. A game without instructions is a toy, says Din22. I like that notion because you're trying to figure it out. So I'm from a different generation, and when we had video games, they were played in an arcade, and often they were the simplest games. Like I started out on like Atari, so like Yar's Revenge was probably one of the most complicated games I ever played on Atari. Actually, that's not true. There's one called Space Frontiers? It's the Star Trek game. Although it was never licensed as Star Trek. But this game was super crazy. Here's what it was. It was like a mathematical text game where you would explore sectors and it would say, oh, there's a Klingon in the sector and you have to, they're attacking, and you had to like mathematically figure out how much power you were going to allocate to shields and how much you were going to allocate to phasers. What was it called? I can't remember what it was called, but I played it like on my friend's TRS-80 too. So I remember, there was a couple of different versions of this game floating around, but even Atari had one. And then we went totally gaga crazy over Zelda when it came out. It was like that was the best thing we had ever seen. Because everything was so simple back then. And Zelda offered us this really immersive world. All right, let's do the fighter, our terrified fighter. We know that the light is here because he's carrying the light. So that means the shadow is going to be on this side from that side of the hood. And then how does the cloak stick on? So we gotta, maybe it's over there. And we can kind of imagine that's how he wears it. He's a tough fighter, but he's not super brave. So he's got some, look at that messed up arm. All right. We refuse to be daunted. We're undaunted. All right. His arm is in front of him because he's walking forward. So that affects it. All right. And the torch kind of goes along the side of his forearm. And when you hold something, I'm looking at this, your thumb goes behind it. You can put it like this, but it's behind it, right? So something like that. That's my fire effect. Little black dots. All right. All right. So rendering fire. This is one I've asked myself. I have asked this question. Whenever I meet an inker, I would ask them when I was just starting out, how do you do fire? And so I call this the Star Trek shape. Right? That's the Star Trek shape. I use that in fire. Oh, I think kids nowadays don't go to arcades anymore. I'm not sure if the arcade business is still standing. So, for the most part, yes, you are totally correct. Hang on. I want to show you something. Crabtown, USA. Crabtown with an E. I'm going to share. This is a place that's nearby me. It's in Baltimore. Hang on. I'm going to share screen. Wait, stop screen. Present screen. Share screen. Because we're getting near the end anyways. All right. Can you see this? All right. Crabtown, USA, right? It's just this cheesy kind of bar that they have in Baltimore, but it's off in a weird area. But they have an arcade, and I hope these pictures come in. It's like 100 games. Look at all the games they have. Area 51, Arcanal, Arm Wrestling, Asteroids, Bad Dudes, Big Buck Hunter. It's got so many games. They have 68 arcade games, and then for pinball games, they have 34. And then they have a couple of kiddie rides and claw machines and stuff like that. It is the coolest. Let's see if I have any pictures of it. I want to find the pictures. Home. I don't need to see your. This is, by the way, this is what I get every time. Shrimp every time. I get like it's a half pound of shrimp for like $11. All right, man. Yeah, over 95 vintage games for all ages for as little as 25 cents. It is a magnificent deal. So you would go down there and you would, get some shrimp or something, and then you would just they have a little change machine, and you go in and you get $10 worth of quarters, and you can play for hours. It was the best. Crabtown, USA, highly recommended. It's just outside Baltimore, Maryland. Yeah, it is super cool. All right, let me stop my screen. We are at the last 5 minutes. Let's just go over what we've accomplished today. Thanks so much for checking in. Drive-In Saturday. All for fun and fun for all. Where am I? Okay, we did my Kubert School homework. And there it is. Whoops, let me switch it over. So we finished this up today. It was really just this last panel, the scene in the diner where they're talking. But that was pretty cool that we got it completed. That means that I can work on other things during the week, because if I don't do my Kubert School stuff, it'll weigh on me for until I get it done. Like I just won't be able to concentrate. And then I've got some commission work. These are basically for a printed magazine called Delver, which I highly recommend. You can get this on Kickstarter right now. I believe it's on Kickstarter. This is an old school essentials supplement. If you take a look at this copy of Runes over here, I did the cover for that one, but this is going to be for old school essentials. So this is just art that's going to go kind of at the bottom of the pages. It's just kind of spot illustrations. So we did this. Let me take my pencils out. We did this Displacer Beast, and he looks pretty cool. And we're working on this scene right here, which is a mushroom forest scene. And you can see I've got the pencils right there. So we got pretty far. I feel like less of a slacker. Every day I wake up and I think I'm a slacker because I haven't done enough. Because it's just being mental about it, man. All right. Thanks so much for checking in, especially you, Dentu2. Anybody else who was watching and didn't say hi in the chat, feel free to say hi in the chat. Why not? All right. Please like, follow, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Where am I? Got to get to my ending sequence here. And I will see you later.